Warm greetings. Today is Sunday, September 22, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video, we will be discussing what is expected to happen in the tropical Atlantic region over the next 2 weeks. Historically, once October arrives, cyclonic activity between the Caribbean and Africa tends to decrease dramatically. However, it is very likely that during the next 2 weeks, several strong tropical waves will emerge from Africa. And with the arrival of a favorable phase of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, we may see the formation of 2 or 3 additional cyclones before the Cape Verde season ends by mid-October. But before detailing the tropical Atlantic region, I wanted to mention that we are closely monitoring the recently formed Tropical Depression number 10 in the Eastern Pacific, which is heading towards the state of Chiapas and should arrive as a tropical storm. We are also covering the newly designated Invest 97, a low-pressure system that has developed northeast of Nicaragua and has a high probability of becoming a tropical cyclone or tropical storm, Helen, within the next 5 days as it moves toward the southeastern United States. Interests in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida should closely monitor the evolution of this system. Later today, I will record a video to provide an update on both disturbances. September is typically the most active month of the hurricane season, and once we move into October, cyclonic activity in the North Atlantic tends to decrease dramatically. So far, the forecast for an active season, as projected in previous months, has not been met. However, there are some indications that the peak of the season will extend until at least the second week of October. Additionally, during the first 10 days of October, we have historically seen the formation of a few cyclones east of the Lesser Antilles. This means we could still see cyclonic activity between the Caribbean and Africa during October, although cyclonic activity typically starts to focus more on the Western Caribbean by this time. The latest outlook from the National Hurricane Center maintains a medium probability of cyclonic development between the Caribbean and Africa, with up to a 50% chance of tropical depression formation over the next 7 days. This is due to favorable conditions for cyclone formation, mainly because a favorable phase of the Madden-Julian Oscillation will move through the Atlantic and settle over the African continent and the Indian Ocean until at least mid-October. This could create favorable conditions for cyclonic organization. For instance, long-range projections suggest that during the first week of October, wind shear will be below normal across the Caribbean Sea and the tropical Atlantic. Combined with sea surface temperatures currently at record levels for this time of year in the main cyclonic development area, these conditions could favor cyclone formation. In fact, the tropical Atlantic and the Caribbean Sea are currently experiencing anomalies exceeding those recorded in 2023. After several months, we are once again seeing record-setting anomalies on average. However, it is likely that these temperatures are reaching their yearly peak, which typically occurs by the end of September. Soon, sea surface temperatures will begin to decrease, but there is still energy available for cyclonic activity to continue in the coming months. On the other hand, after seeing high concentrations of Saharan dust in July and August, you can currently observe that the tropical Atlantic and Caribbean Sea are mostly free of Saharan dust, except for the area just east and southeast of the Cape Verde Islands. When analyzing these parameters, it makes sense to think that cyclonic activity should continue over the next few weeks, and it's very likely that the Cape Verde season will extend until at least the first week of October. Still, we must remember that the tropical Atlantic this year has been characterized by quite a bit of dry and stable air descending from the mid-latitudes, and this dry air seems likely to continue over the coming weeks, which will be the biggest impediment to the formation of new cyclones. Nevertheless, some models project that 2 tropical cyclones could develop over the next 7 days. For example, the GFS model projects a hurricane developing in the tropical Atlantic, although fortunately it's forecasted to follow a path toward open waters, posing no threat to the Caribbean Sea. Another strong tropical wave may also emerge from Africa, and could encounter marginally favorable development conditions. We also have the European model, which develops a tropical storm associated with a strong tropical wave emerging from Africa and linked to the area marked by the National Hurricane Center. The German model also agrees that we could see the development of 2 new cyclones in the next 5 to 7 days, and it shows a strong tropical wave crossing the Caribbean Sea. However, at the moment, it shows no cyclonic development, as it passes south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The UK model also foresees the formation of 2 new cyclones this week between the Caribbean and Africa. The good news is that it seems these 2 disturbances will likely follow a path to the west-northwest, away from the Caribbean region over the next 7 days. However, by the first week of October, we will be closely monitoring any tropical waves that could travel further west, as shown by some members of the GFS model. This is also what we see in the ensemble projection of the European model, with at least the first 2 systems following a west-northwest path away from the Caribbean. But in the long term, a third tropical wave could move a little further south and west. In summary, we may see the formation of some cyclones over the next 2 weeks between the Caribbean and Africa. However, at the moment there is no risk of impact for the Caribbean Sea, and the next tropical waves appear to be on a west-northwest trajectory. Nevertheless, we will stay alert in case of any changes in the forecast. Here at Hurricane Info, I will continue to monitor any tropical waves emerging from Africa, and to keep you informed throughout the rest of the hurricane season, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click the bell to receive notifications when I upload new videos. I hope everyone has a great start to the week. And for residents of the southeastern United States, Chiapas, Oaxaca, and Guerrero in Mexico, stay tuned for the next videos.